And you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Adit.
This is episode 183 on the 18th of March 2020. In India, there are two kinds of sporting tournaments. There is the cash-rich tournaments, which involves the investment of the various corporate and business houses. These are mostly semi-domestic tournaments with international players involved. For example, the Indian Super League, that is the football tournament, its counterpart in the I-League, the Pro Kabaddi League, also tournaments which include sports like badminton, table tennis. Millions of dollars are spent not only on the players, also on the aspects like marketing, broadcasting, and many such other allied fields. The two football tournaments have ended their season for the year 1920. The Kabaddi tournament usually begins in September, October. These two tournaments are immune to the discussion around the impact of the C virus as far as postponing or cancellation of such cash-rich tournaments are concerned. Right now, the focus is on the Indian T20 domestic tournament, is often humorously called the IPL, the Indian Paisa League. Why is there so much of an animated discussion around this tournament? Because of the restriction posed by the government on visas and the government cutting off flights from various parts of the world. The tournament has been deferred till the 15th of April, and whether this cash-rich tournament will start or not is a question that nobody knows, including the cricket board and the various stakeholders involved, private and public. Now, most of the individuals involved in this tournament, that includes the official of the Indian Cricket Board, be it the president, the secretary, and other stakeholders. The indirect stakeholders, that is the managers of the various teams, individuals who have spent billions on recruiting players in the auction that happened just a couple of months ago. Till now, the situation is fluid, and mostly the discussion has been nobody knows when the tournament will start. While the entire country is debating around whether this marquee event should start or not, another premier domestic tournament, of which I am sure most of my listeners don't even know about, Ranji Trophy. And now I will tell my listeners, those who are not aware, what is the Ranji Trophy. Those who follow the sport of cricket know that it is divided into three parts. There is the 50-over version, there is the 5-day version, and then there is the fast food version of the 20-over matches. Around the world, there is this debate that can the players play in front of empty stadiums, as various state administration have disallowed mass gathering. Now, tickets for this T20 domestic tournaments have not been sold, but this Ranji Trophy tournament, which is played for 4 months, that is from November to March, played in front of empty stadiums, irrespective of whether there is the C virus impact or not. To look at the old videos of this tournament or the pictures, you will see that not one seat has been filled. This tournament happens without the fanfare related to its much more glamorous T20 domestic tournament sibling. I am sure even those who don't love the sport cricket or have no interest in it would still want to watch T20 domestic tournament because of the exciting matches that happen and the glamour associated with it. It being marketed through print media, electronic media, digital media, every platform that is available, this T20 domestic tournament is marketed. The cricket board, the team management leave no stone unturned to buy or recruit the best of the players. While on the other hand, the Ranji Trophy version, that is the 5-day version, happens quietly. You can see the difference, and I will give you example. The quality of the stadium in which the matches are played. If you want to watch a Ranji Trophy match, you wouldn't even need to buy ticket. You can just walk into the stadium. Even the police would not be interested in doing their job. It doesn't pique their interest. There is no special website dedicated to this tournament. Does anyone even know which team won this tournament? A small region in the state of Gujarat called Saurashtra. I'm sure even the most geographically knowledge individuals wouldn't even know that a small town like Saurashtra even exists on the map of the country. So why will they bother about this team winning the tournament? In fact, strangely, they did not win the tournament in the conventional manner, but bizarre rules allowed them to win the tournament because they had a huge first innings lead. Once the match was drawn, they went on to win the tournament on the basis of the first innings lead. The board did not hesitate to cancel or put on hold the other domestic tournaments. For example, the Irani Cup match, Ranji Trophy Senior Women's One Day Knockout, and the Senior Women's One Day Challenger. They did not hesitate to put on hold these tournaments, but they are taking time to decide if the T20 domestic tournament, humorously called the IPL, should be cancelled or put on hold. One of the reasons is because there are private entities involved in this. Compared to tournaments like the Irani Trophy, the Ranji Trophy, where there are zero or no stakeholders involved, fanatics of the game have no interest in this. In fact, they don't even know if this tournament exists. The craze that has been created around the glamour part of this tournament is forcing the Indian Cricket Board to not come to a sudden decision. Otherwise, what is the need to have these meetings with the private bodies who are involved as the team management of different teams? This fair weather treatment to other tournaments is perplexing, while giving extra attention to the domestic T20 tournament, humorously called the IPL, is like indulging a spoiled child with ice cream. Let's compare as to how the broadcaster show their interest towards the Ranji Trophy and the other domestic tournaments vis-a-vis this T20 domestic tournament. There are no promotions, no ads, no storyline created around Ranji Trophy and the other tournaments, because frankly nobody bothers about such tournaments. It can be seen with the quality of the commentators involved, rounds in which the tournament are held. To see a Ranji Trophy match, you will see the stark difference between how the ground is bland. The same stadium in Bombay which looks bland and empty in terms of no spectators around, no advertising hoardings either on the boundary ropes or on the stadium roofs and the galleries. Once this T20 domestic tournament starts, also called the IPL humorously. The ground in Bombay undergoes a huge transformation. The entire ground is filled up by the fanatics. Foreign commentators are recruited. DJs are given the contract so that the fanatics can feel the atmosphere of the match. Pre and the post match promotions by the broadcasters, the print and the electronic media there for everyone to see. That's the attitude I do not like, but there is nothing I can do about it. Support staff involved in the Ranji Trophy vis-a-vis the support staff involved in these T20 domestic teams is a glaring example of how we treat two different versions of the same sport as far as the domestic tournaments go. Marketing is peanuts, the payment to the player is peanuts as far as the Ranji Trophy goes. Those who followed the auction or the recruitment phase closely already know as to for how much each player was recruited or transferred to the other teams. Then there are no glamorous names for the team. One of the reasons the T20 domestic tournament or humorously called IPL is endearing to one and all is because of the names of the teams. And the fictitious fan club that has been created over the past decade. There are teams like Mumbai Super Kings, Bangalore Indians, Sunrisers, Chennai, Hyderabad Super Kings. I will not an individual who even has no interest in this sport not be inclined to watch this tournament just because of the curiosity factor. Where someone names it Saurashtra Super Kings, these are going to have a field day roasting the person who dare says that Ranji Trophy should also become as glamorous as the T20 domestic tournaments, which includes full grounds involving the same stakeholders and the marketers and the promoters who are involved in the T20 domestic tournament. I have my doubts about such a happening. Before having this discussion about this particular tournament being played in front of empty stadiums or restricting the venues because of the prevalent conditions, spare a thought for the players involved in the Ranji Trophy who have for the past 80 years always played in front of empty grounds and the money they receive is peanuts. I am wondering, had this C virus come a month ago, would there have been so much discussion around this Ranji Trophy like we are having this fictitious and arrogant discussion around whether the T20 domestic tournament should be played or postponed just because there are foreign players involved and no team or team management wants to play without foreign players? Maybe we should try that. Let's have this particular T20 domestic tournament without the inclusion of foreign players. Other domestic tournaments can go without having foreign players or foreign coaches involvement. Then why not this tournament? Don't we give it a try for this cash rich tournament compared to the poor as a church mouse tournament? Let's get our heads out of our backsides and be practical about the situation. If the Indian Cricket Board can put the other domestic tournaments on hold without much discussion, then let's do that here also. Let the Indian Cricket Board also say that just like we have postponed or put on hold the domestic tournaments in which we have no monetary interest because we get back nothing. Try the same for this, even if the private bodies involved in this tournament cry foul. Why should the print and the broadcast media care if this tournament is played either with only Indian players or put on hold? How does it hurt them directly or indirectly if other domestic tournaments do not hurt them directly or indirectly? Why this double standard carried out for only one tournament and not for the other tournaments? Let's think about this while part 1 comes to an end. Welcome to part 2 of this episode. Sporting bodies, private and public, go on the defensive as they cancel or defer world tournaments. WWE conducts its daily shows without any attendance of spectators, or as they call the WWE Universe. WWE announces that WrestleMania will switch locations and continue without a live audience. WrestleMania is the longest running professional wrestling event in history. First held in 1984, the show is typically presented as a spectacle and has been frequently compared to the Super Bowl. This is something for the Indian T20 domestic tournament organizers to look at as to how they can take a cue from the decisions by the WWE management. This year, the tournament, which was to be hosted by the Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, event will be streamed live from its training facility in Orlando, Florida, without a live audience, only essential personnel present at the facility. So what are the matches that are scheduled for this year's WrestleMania? McIntyre takes on Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. Reigns faces Goldberg for the Universal Championship. There will be 3 women's championship matches this year. Becky Lynch will defend her championship against Shayna Baszler, while Charlotte Flair will try to win the NXT Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley. It is still to be decided who will face Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. These are the championship matches. There are a few non-title matches which are going to be legendary in the way they have been scheduled and promoted. AJ Styles will face against Undertaker in a non-title match. John Cena gets an opportunity to face Bray Wyatt, who will be showing off in his alter ego as the Fiend. As more matches are scheduled and announced, I will bring you the latest updates. Every sport and sporting organization can afford to go in this direction without having a live audience. Never an easy decision to take, but the circumstances and the prevailing conditions have enforced this upon the various private and public sporting bodies, and this is going to be the norm going forward. While the WWE management has made their call to have this tournament without a live audience in a smaller facility, there is still an animated discussion as far as the Olympic goes, because if the qualifying events are affected, then the final individuals selected in various sports find it difficult to have the ticket for Olympic ready. And though the Olympic tournament is still a couple of months away, the tournament can't be conducted if the qualifying rounds are put on hold. While the economic losses may be in millions, stakeholders and the sporting bodies associated with the Olympics are still putting on hold their final decision as far as the Olympic goes. It will be interesting to see as to how they come upon a final decision. Moving on, let's take a look as to how many world tournaments have been affected by this C virus. Football, the English Premier League suspended all fixtures till April 4 with matches in the English Football League, Women's Super League, all Scottish football and international friendlies for England and Wales also postponed. FIFA postponed all Champions League and Europa League games next week. So a final decision has been made that the Euro Cup will be played in 2021. Serie A, which is Italy's premier football tournament, has been suspended for the next couple of weeks. French tournaments also have been put on hold while the Bundesliga has been suspended. In cricket, the India-South Africa Championship tournament was suspended because of the players' concerns about the outbreak. The first match of the Australia-New Zealand ODI Championship was played in front of an empty stadium. Two boards decided to call it off because they didn't want the players to be exposed to this as well because of the frequent traveling involved. In other sports like tennis, golf, badminton, motorsport, athletics, basketball, includes the NBA, PGA, the European Tour, ATP, the WTA, Miami Open, BWF, Australian Grand Prix, the Chinese Grand Prix, the Qatar Moto GP, Grand Prix at Austin, and other such tournaments have either been cancelled or postponed to a later date depending upon the scheduling and other logistical constraints. Most of these tournaments are also acting as the qualifying tournaments for the Olympics. If the qualifying tournaments are affected